With the meeting called to order, I'd first ask Dave if he would do a roll call, please.
Alderman Boyd.
Present.
Alderman Cone.
Present.
Commissioner Bradley. Commissioner Brown. Not. Commissioner Peoples.
Present.
Commissioner Reese.
Here.
Commissioner Banton.
Present.
Commissioner Boaz. Commissioner Vines. Not. And Commissioner Young.
Here.
And you, Chair Strother.
Present.
And you have a
With that quorum, let us first welcome Nicole Young, who is a new commissioner to our meeting today. Welcome. You have about 15 seconds to tell us who you're with and what you do.
Nicole Young, I'm with Lion CSG. I'm an engineer. I've been in the industry about 20 years. Mostly do large infrastructure projects and civil site work.
And what semi-politically incorrect item that I talked to you about earlier today? Meaning, I referenced the census.
Do we have to do that right now?
No, we don't.
Remember, the conversations are recorded. With that, the first item of business is our approval of the minutes from our June 6th meeting, which is the last time we gathered officially. Those are present, if there is a motion to approve.
I move to approve the minutes of June 6, 2018.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. That was Commissioner Banton that seconded. With that, can we have a vote to approve the minutes?
Alderman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Cone.
Aye.
Commissioner Peoples.
Aye.
Commissioner Reese.
Abstain.
Commissioner Banton.
Aye.
Commissioner Boaz.
Aye.
Commissioner Young.
Aye.
And Chair Strother.
Aye.
Motion passes with 7 votes in favor and 1 abstention.
Okay. With that, the minutes are approved. Next, we have 2 action items on the agenda today. 18 RE7 and 17 NBB. Both will be presented by Roman. So Roman, have your way.
The first item is a proposed rezoning of one dual zone parcel with the address of 5347 Nottingham Avenue. From the combination of the A single-family dwelling district and the F neighborhood commercial district to just the F neighborhood commercial district. The site is about 4/10 of an acre in size. It's located at the northeast corner of Macklin Avenue and Nottingham Avenue in the Southampton neighborhood. Macklin Avenue is roughly between Hampton Avenue from the west and King Highway Boulevard to the east, the street. The existing use is a mostly vacant church and school complex. The Southampton Presbyterian Church was founded at that site back in 1919 and closed in 2011. So the vacant, or at least the church hasn't been open there for about 7 years or so. The existing tenants in the building are a small theater group, small food pantry run out of the complex, and a storage facility for T-Mobile cell phone provider. That small theater group and the small food pantry are relocating. They have moved out of the site already. T-Mobile will still have a cellular antenna on the premises after the development project. The petitioner would like to convert the complex into 18 apartments. The petitioner is Matthew J. Detail. Mr. Detail here tonight, as well as architect Charlie Foster. So this is an aerial photo of the site in Macklin Avenue and Nottingham Avenue. The site is located in the northeast corner. Macklin Avenue has a very small but charming commercial district along this stretch. Nottingham Avenue, as well as some of the adjacent side streets, are primarily low-density residential uses along those streets. This is an existing zoning map for the city. You can see the parcel does in fact have two zoning districts. The F neighborhood commercial district shown in the expectations on Macklin Avenue, and the A single-family dwelling district shown in light yellow. The commercial district along Macklin Avenue is generally zoned F neighborhood commercial, and all the properties to the east and west of Macklin are generally zoned either A single-family dwelling district or B two-family dwelling district. Under the existing zoning, the zoning regulations for the more restrictive zoning district, that being the A zoning district, will apply, and the conversion project will not be allowed. And that's the reason why the petitioner has requested a rezoning of the property. So this is a photograph of the complex. As you can see, it's a handsome structure. There's a couple of structures. The church building mostly faces on Macklin Avenue, which is this street here, and the school faces Nottingham, which is on the other street. These are some photos of the two structures looking northward along Nottingham Avenue. Since they're attached, it's a little difficult to see exactly where the church ends and the school building integrated into one complex. Looking eastward on the left photograph is the church, and the photograph on the right is the rear of the complex. Along the rear alley, you can see the chimney here where that T-Mobile antenna is currently located and will remain. In terms of adjacent properties, immediately to the east of the complex is the single-family building. You can see how close it is to the school structure. On the other side of the street, on Nottingham Avenue, a series of single-family and two-family buildings. On the other side of Macklin Avenue is the Macklin Avenue Deli. Unfortunately, the business is currently closed. You may have read that there was fireworks that turned into a major fire on 4th of July. Severely damaged that building. I believe it's going to be rebuilt. And just to the north of the deli is Clementine's Ice Cream Shop, which is a new business that's currently under construction and should be open. Lastly, just to the north of the alley on Murdoch Avenue, so this is a site plan that was submitted by the petitioner. The church building is here. The school building is here. Macklin Avenue is a two-way street with 2 lanes of traffic. Macklin Avenue is a one-way street that is westbound with one-way traffic. There is no on-site parking on the parcel, and as a result, in addition to this rezoning, the separate approval, we need to get a parking variance from the City Board of Adjustment to take care of the parking requirements for the complex. To address some of the parking needs in the area, you can see on the site plan that a series of 9 45-degree angled parking spaces have been proposed right in front of the complex along Nottingham Avenue. You can see the existing sidewalk right there. This is the tree lawn immediately adjacent to it. Closer to the corner of Macklin, it becomes a concrete strip. And obviously, we've got the curb here where these parked cars are. So with the 9 parking spaces that are proposed, you can see that much of the tree lawn and that concrete strip need to be removed, and potentially a part of the sidewalk needs to be narrowed as well. Give you a better picture of what that would look like. These are some photographs of the tree lawn and the sidewalk along Nottingham Avenue, looking in different directions. And so those diagonal parking spaces would require the removal of this tree lawn as well as this concrete strip, and removal of those trees as well. I'm not sure if any of the sidewalk would need to be narrowed. would look a little bit different than it currently does. In speaking with the petitioner, he has talked with the streets department and has received the preliminary approval to provide those 9 parking spaces, contingent on getting all the minutes. These are some floor plans that were submitted by the petitioner. At the bottom is the basement level where there will be 8 housing units, apartments. First floor would have 9 units, and the second floor would have 1 unit. I believe the second floor would have 2 levels, 8 units, is that correct? And so the units would vary considerably in size from 550 square feet to about 230 square feet. The city strategic land use plan designates the site as an institutional preservation and development area, shown here in blue. In general, housing is allowed in institutional areas, but in this case it is by virtue of the strategic land use plan adjacent to the talked about in the past. And basically, that states that the planning commission may deem that the project is in conformity with the strategic land use plan if that particular use is allowed in an adjacent strategic land use category. So in this case, as you can see, the zoning site is surrounded by a neighborhood preservation area shown in yellow. That encourages residential development, infill development, and so forth. And as a result, the proposed zoning would be in conformity with the strategic plan. In terms of comments, the rezoning of the parcel would achieve 3 objectives for the zoning administrator's letter and the resolution, including the fact that the rezoning will allow for new residential options in the immediate area. For the most part, the area with civil buildings, apartment buildings would provide some residential options that currently aren't very available. As I mentioned, the petitioner would also need with parking variance and the board adjustment. That would be a separate approval apart from the planning commission as well as the ordinance. The zoning is in conformity with this land use plan, and staff is recommending approval. Happy to answer any questions. We have the petitioner, Mr. Salvizio, here, and his architect, Carlos Foster.
Prior to questions, we'll allow the petitioner to speak, and at that point, we'll entertain questions from the commission. So anything that the petitioner would like to present prior to this question.
Just for reference to the new commissioner, so these zonings happen 2 ways. We can initiate it, decide some part of town needs to be rezoned to comply with the plans that we want. Do it from our initiation, or it can come from a petition. It's come from the petition, in this case, the property owner went to the zoning administrator's office and has come here for the planning commission to act on. It's important to know that when it leaves here with our recommendation, it goes to the Board of Aldermen, and it's at the Board of Aldermen where there is a public hearing that's notified to the neighbors to come and speak about it. We won't have the neighbors here, but because it's a petition-led change, the petitioners are here, both to say to the president, say anything they'd like to say, as Earl has stated, or to be quizzed.
Thank you. Again, my name is Matt Salvizio. I appreciate the opportunity to speak here on behalf of development on Nottingham. We feel that this project, along with the neighborhood, supporting the only woman in the area, fits the best and highest use of the neighborhood. We feel there is a need for very high-level living in the Southampton area. We feel that the Immaculate Strip is a booming area. We want to be able to be part of that area to keep the city strong. The fact that there has not been a highest and best use in the church for the last 5 to 6 years, it's been mostly vacant. It's started to deteriorate. It's a very big building. It needs a lot of work. We're committed to the work. We feel it's a very good project for the city standpoint as well as the neighbors.
In your package, there are 2 letters of support. One is from the Alderwoman from the 14th Ward, and I noticed on the back of that is also a letter of support or approval on behalf of Mary Hart from the Department of Public Safety. That has been included in your packet. At this time, any questions from the board chairman, commissioner board?
Okay, thank you. I have several questions. Number one, what's the reconstruction cost, development cost, I'm sorry?
$1.8 million.
And Alderwoman Howard spoke in her letter that there was a need to have more input and looking at some modifications. Has that occurred since this letter?
Good question. Thank you, Jeff. It has occurred. We originally proposed 21 units for the building. In conjunction with the neighborhood meeting, we've had two open forum meetings, one at the church itself, where there was about 85 people in attendance. We had a show of hand vote. We've had roughly 75 to 80% of people in favor. These are local folks in the neighborhood who live adjacent to the property. We had a secondary meeting at the Immaculate Church previous to this unfortunate fire, and they had another follow-up meeting. So we've had two neighborhood meetings since that original meeting that I had with the previous president of the neighborhood association. His name was Adam Wright. There has been a recent changeover. There's a new president of the neighborhood association. But I did in fact have those meetings. We informed with Alderwoman Carol Howard's request to lower the number of units, the density, from 21 to 18. Now, just to make sure we're all on the same page, that 18 units are residential units, and there's one T-Mobile lease. It's a long-term lease. It's a very small portion. It's roughly 300 square foot. It's a closet inside the building. So 18 units plus the T-Mobile existing use.
Okay. Out of curiosity, I was just kind of looking at your floor plan. How many units do not have windows?
What was the question?
How many units do not have windows?
Okay.
0.
So all of them have windows?
It wouldn't conform to the code if it didn't have windows. There's an actual.
As you know, it's a full fire suppression system as well, including in one way.
Okay, maybe I'll review it again, have a look at it.
There's a photograph there.
Right, I was looking at the actual floor plan. Okay, so while I'm perusing this, is there going to be a request for tax abatement?
0.
Zero tax abatement.
No city funds.
And the parking, will it be restricted parking for people who live there? Because I know being a church, I mean, first come, first served. I mean, parking around the corner 2 blocks over. But if I'm living there, I wouldn't want to park 2 blocks over.
Yeah, so that's a good question. Alderman Carol Howard and I are working with the street department right now with preliminary approval. We are going to try to have dedicated parking for those 9 spots, specifically permanent parking for the church itself.
Okay. Well, that's all my questions. Thank you.
You had 2 tenants prior to the food bank and the theater group. Were tenants. What was the impetus for them leaving the property?
I've been working on this rezoning for the last 12 months since I purchased the building. I've worked with the neighborhood association as well as the tenant. They've got a 5-year master lease exchange on the back there. It started of this month, so they are actually out of the building right now. There's no tenants at all. The food pantry relocated in the neighborhood, so currently the only tenant inside the building. It's a vacant building with the exception of the
So they were not displaced, they were just relocated.
We gave them all the time they needed before we started construction. So we held off on demolition, we held off on any environmental until they had an opportunity to relocate to other things.
Any other commissioner questions? Commissioner Collins?
Yeah, so on one of the slides with regard to the parking, the picture actually shows it. So at the intersection, you have the fire hydrant and the gas, regulator system. Have you talked to Liquid Gas about moving that as well?
That particular area, if you look at the plan, that is not, from the corner back, is not considered in the original spaces. We had 10 originally proposed. Charlie, the architect, went over there, did a code analysis, and he realized.
So, but it looks like that first space,
That's a dimension line. That's a dimension line. That's not a space, that's a dimension line. Right there.
If you count from right to left, you'll count 9 with that left.
Right, that's the first spot.
Right there,
but
correct.
it looks like the corner is right at the liquid gas regulator station.
From our measurement on Charlie's code analysis, it will not neither the fire extinguisher nor the leaking gas will be.
But, I mean, and it could be shadowed, but that looks like the liquid gas regulator.
Yeah. Not rectangles don't.
This is not a parking. No.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, 9 coming.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see. I can see your point of view. If you count from right to left, it will actually get you 9 and it'll leave that entire space vacant.
Okay. Cool.
I saw
That
you,
opens up a whole other heap of issues.
Oh, yeah.
I saw your cost was $125 or $150 per square foot. And you had different dimensions, different size apartments. You have a kind of a mix of what that looks like?
$895 on the low end. The neighborhood supports that. I have a Hampton building, not only it's 4 blocks away, the rents go from $1.50 to $2 a square foot right on the corner of Nottingham and, it's on Hampton, $46.50, which we've known to put a 15-unit apartment building there. Usually at least in 40 days, the unit is very high in that area for high-end apartments. When we say high-end, it's the stainless steel, it's the granite, high-end tile. We do a very high-end sort of finish, similar to new buildings in Soulard, think of what's there in areas called the Highland area by Forest Park. So we modeled the building based on the building and the neighborhood what people are asking for.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, you
It's a funky building, it's a church. Windows are unique and different. Describe for us, the most unique, unusual apartment space that created with it.
Actually, I'm going to defer to Charlie on this one. He can talk a little bit about his design and his vision, especially for the Walker part.
Oh, man. So the most unique spaces are really actually in the sanctuary. We're building sort of a 2-level space with a mezzanine, but we want to like preserve the views of the ceiling and the woodwork and everything else. So what we ended up doing was we sort of create these partition walls, and our goal was to sort of preserve the architecture of the church itself. So as you kind of go through, rather than having sort of a double-loaded corridor, we went to sort of a single-loaded corridor, and even in the hallways, you get that sense of stained glass. As you enter it, you're entering through these old archways that we're going to kind of delicately fill in with drywall and new doors. And then you go into the space, it's a mezzanine, so it's 2 stories up. And then so you have a bedroom that's upstairs with a living space, and you have this really nice open downstairs space. And then you sort of have these bedrooms that are in the back and some areas that have the stained glass, and all the stained glass is going to be preserved. And then the school is kind of, it is what it is. I mean, it's an old school building, and we're going to keep the existing corridors, the plumbing, keep the bathrooms and all that stuff as lined up as possible. Similar to kind of what you've probably seen at other like school renovations, and then sort of the back building, which is sort of 3-story, the old pastor office. We salvaged as many of the walls as possible, including the windows and things like that, to really celebrate this building as a church. But also to say, you know, it's okay that it's being converted over, it can be apartments, so it's definitely going to be apartments, but it's also, you're not hiding that it was a church at one point in time, celebrating that it was a church at one point in time.
So it'll be the typical units you see along Highway 40 in Chestnut.
Absolutely. I think it's carpet.
Who gets the front stained glass windows?
Highest paid rent.
No, actually, there's 2 large stained glass windows, one in the front and one in the back area. So, as Charlie was saying, the 2-story long style apartment, you have a master bedroom with a bathroom. which overlooks down into the living area, kitchen, open concept kitchen. And then underneath that balcony, which is the choir loft, we're gonna reuse the choir loft, and then there's another bedroom with another bathroom.
Yeah. Oh, and I just want to kind of further, that, like, even things like the old ballroom and a lot of the existing woodwork that's there, we're salvaging as much as we can. Matt, when we walked through it, his first word to me was, I think this is a cool building. Let's do what we can to save it, and especially like on the church side. And yeah, that's gonna create some like interesting quirks and features, but, you know, it's all the church. That's okay. I think that's really gonna be the draw to the
Any other questions from the witness?
Yeah. Did I miss something? Are you gonna do something with the school complex?
That's part of the overall.
Yeah. So the left side, if you're looking at the photo, left side features the church area, and the right side features the school area. The school area is built afterwards.
Wait, get me not there, the left side, left side.
That's the church. And then if you look right where the green awning is, you see that?
Okay, oh,
That would technically be the school side.
okay, gotcha.
It's such a well-built building, it truly looks like it was built in a time.
Yeah, that's what threw, I thought it was two separate buildings.
And the other thing that really helps out with that is some of the, you know, working back and forth with the city, in terms of the, going through, like, going through the code and everything else like that, you know, we're able to use that entry point and then have some accessibility options that, you know, maybe normally wouldn't have happened. But because the building was kind of organically designed and built, and they sort of had an elevator there that's existing, we're able to sort of offer this building to not just this group of people, but
In this case, we have the ability, because we have an elevator, and we have the ability
and we're compliant with fair housing.
What kind of roof?
Sorry.
What kind of roof? Is it clay or is it?
So the church side, what you see, the left side, in all intents and purposes, is a full plate roof. Spanish style plate roof. On the right side, it's a combination of a modified Vidium flat roof, as well as shingles on the interior gangway. So we have three roofing structures going on. I've had elevated roofing and construction up there evaluated. We are not changing the Spanish tile. There are a little bit of flashing issues and some copper issues that we need to take care of. But they did a full evaluation of scope of work. The roof is in very good shape. So we have no intention at all to change the structure of the roof. We will replace the flat roof because it's got 4 layers and it's time for that to be changed. But what you see, the architectural characteristics of that building, the footprint from the exterior will not change at all.
Well, you left out, because I know a clay roof replacement has to be quite expensive.
My understanding that the front exterior had that entire roof stripped and relighted, and with underlayment about 7 or 8 years ago. So
You left out. It is a beautiful building. That's all I have.
Seeing no other questions from the commission, do I hear a motion that either way?
Second.
Oh, wait a minute, so the motion is to what?
Move to approve.
Oh, okay.
Approve this recommendation.
Okay. You said either way, so move either way.
Yeah, so more disapprove, I'll take either motion, but the motion was approved.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been moved and seconded. Can we have a call vote, please?
Alderman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Cone.
Aye.
Alderman Peoples, sorry. Commissioner Peoples, Commissioner Reed.
Aye.
Commissioner Benton.
Aye.
Commissioner Boaz.
Aye.
Commissioner Young.
Aye.
And Chair Strother.
Aye.
Motion passes with all present voting aye.
Very good. Congratulations, it moves to the next step. Well, guess what, Roland?
I can't believe it.
You're up for number 17, isn't it?
Larry gets on in here either. I don't believe it. I don't. Thank you. Good luck.
Good, thanks.
I won't be coming to you today. Won't be hurting my committee.
It's a very short one.
You have a lot of bills coming.
And it's a technical clarification regarding the adoption of the City Oliver Neighborhood Plan. By way of background, back in August of 2017, at the Planning Commission meeting, a presentation and a public hearing was held on this neighborhood plan. You probably remember it. A presentation was made by Brandon Sterling, the Executive Director of the City of Oliver, City Council, and myself. Public hearing was held as well. At the next Planning Commission meeting, December of 2017, a vote on the adoption of the plan was held. The Planning Commission unanimously voted in favor of adopting the neighborhood plan. However, the adoption resolution inadvertently didn't include a key point, and that is that the neighborhood plan would also be a supplement to the city's comprehensive plan, oversight on my part. That phrase has been added to the resolution that you have in front of you. And you can see that all of the text changes that appear in that resolution appear in this red font. Basically, the changes all revolve around that, the addition of that same phrase, that the neighborhood plan would be a supplement to the city's comprehensive plan. As I mentioned, the neighborhood plan is supported by the executive director of the community council at City of Oliver. Letters of support in that resolution were also submitted by the president of the community council, as well as Cheryl Adelstein of Washington University. Staff believes the neighborhood plan is a sound, comprehensive planning document, and recommends that the planning commission adopt the neighborhood plan. And so the neighborhood plan, as well as, and this is important part, supplement to the city's comprehensive plan. So if you in fact approve the neighborhood plan tonight, the updated resolution will be signed by the planning commission chairman at a future date, and that neighborhood plan will be posted on the website.
As it is now, also posted, knowing that it's part of the comprehensive.
Exactly. So I hope that makes sense. This is basically a cleanup of something that was done back in December of 2017, adding the phrase that is the supplement.
So without that phrase, it just means that they're conflicting?
No, it basically means that this is, the neighborhood plan just offers a little more in the way of details than the comprehensive plan does. In other words, the comprehensive plan, given the fact that it covers the entire city, has a limited amount of attention that can be given to smaller areas like individual neighborhoods. The neighborhood plan, which is 200 or 300 pages, goes into the comprehensive plan.
With that, your changes are in red. There's one I want to question. It says executive that has been put in here in the red. Is there a purpose? Yeah, I know that. Would you like to expound on that, Ron?
I believe at some point Don was promoted from being...
That's a long story.
With that, any questions for Roman on this? Commissioner Boyd?
Maybe I missed something. So tell me the benefit of being part of the comprehensive plan if the neighborhood plan is more detailed.
So I'll make a comment. We review everything that comes before us in comparison to the comprehensive plan, which is the SLOOP. The SLOOP is at one level of detail. We're authorized to create neighborhood plans, of which we do, and they're also reviewed by us. To be consistent, though, we are trying to also say when we adopt a neighborhood plan, it's also for that geography part of the comprehensive plan.
Okay. And what's a SLOOP?
The strategic land use plan.
All right. I didn't know.
So
Nicole may have known. I didn't know. You know, she's new. SLOOP. It just kind of rolled off your...
So when we have something that's being approved in the neighborhood, or the neighborhood plan approved by us, we will say, and make a recommendation that it's in compliance with the neighborhood plan and the comprehensive plan. which means the slough.
Gotcha.
And in this case, we had
Higher.
just wanted to be this consistent and say it has
No economic impact, no economic impact at all.
Saying that the block plan conforms to the neighborhood commercial.
If we hadn't done this, you'd never know the difference in the applicant for.
And it would have no impact on
Thanks, Roman.
Like director under executive director.
Gotcha.
But there's a long story to that.
I had one of those titles before.
With that, I will entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt the resolution, is it 17?
It's been moved and seconded. Can we call for a vote, please?
Previous roll?
Your call for previous roll, any objections? Hearing no objections, the previous roll has been approved. With that,
Mr. Chairman, you have no more action items.
we have no more action items, we have the delegated items.
We have delegated items, but I just wanted to call your attention, Cecilia's not here, but the jack of all trades and master of all of them that she is, she's been tracking and doing a review of Chapter 99s, preparing our agendas, and of course, we bring to the Planning Commission for the reference of the new commissioners, any Chapter 99 that's over an acre to be voted on individually by the Board of Aldermen. Ones that are under an acre are delegated to the director/executive director/me. And that's because many of them are very, very routine, et cetera, et cetera. So those are always listed in our agenda, and Cecilia is embellishing them so that you also will receive a chart. This is the chart that just gives you a little bit more information about them if you're curious. That's true. And then the second thing is the acre is a geography, but we also, when we have staff time, we call your attention to ones that are under an acre but are over $1 million in value. And she's created a sheet. We've used a version of this in the past to summarize those that are over $1 million in one more descriptive sheet of the particular project. And those are included tonight for those delegated items.
May I ask a question about the delegated item? I just have a question on 4213 Maryland Avenue. The 5 years of tax incentive at 50%, which if I calculate it based on the neighboring property is about $6,700. By any chance, is any of that incentive needed because the basement, isn't that where there was a structure that burned down? Or am I on the wrong block?
Which is?
4213 Maryland.
Could be.
We're calling back to the fact that our demolition specs don't require removable basements, and they quoted to us that it's about a $5,000 per lot cost
Interesting.
to remove those basements after date. So,
Yeah, it's got to be interesting. Or it could have been a number of other preferences to it.
So we don't really have anything to do with these items, it's just to satisfy our curiosity.
Yeah. Now, it's delegated, so I can approve them. If there's something that's interesting or unique, I'm liable to bring it to you. And then the ones that are over $1 million inherently might be a little bit more interesting, so we give them a little bit more.
the only reason I brought that one up is we were harping on that in other neighborhoods. If in the Central West End, you need a incentive to get a house built, how tough is it going to be to do it in other neighborhoods?
Yeah, so more, Tracy is part of a team, part of a funding initiative from the Department of Conservation to help us with vacant lots and vacant land in the city. We have plenty of them, both vacant lots and vacant buildings, and we have derelict vacant buildings. In trying to reuse those lands, it's advantageous not to just tell the world we're happy that we got the light down and the buildings down, but to have something that's a future use, and it works out to the benefit of all. If the basement is removed at the time of the demolition, that readies it for a developer to come in and have a little bit cheaper less expensive task to redevelop it. And in the areas where we're working with other partners, a number of partners, including the Department of Conservation, and trying to get it developed as permanent green space, permeable space, for MSD purposes and neighborhood amenity purposes, for the right things to grow. And so,
It helps in that case. But there's always a tension between the additional cost at the time. It's less than it would be to remove it later, but it's more than it would cost not to remove it, and so then you get in this debate about, do you want that extra money to go towards taking another vacant building down, or do you want to get that?
So, I mean, I'm presuming Frank Oswald has been involved in those
Oh, yeah.
conversations.
They'll
because,
struggle with it all the time.
like, that's a huge change from what they're doing right now. I mean, they basically take
Yeah.
that brick and push everything into the basement and cover it with dirt.
It's a little better than that, but.
Not really. I just had them do some in my ward, and they just did some over on the lawn, too.
so to be,
What they do.
I'm gonna be careful
And then they grade it out.
about the word I use.
On it and let it overgrow for 2 years. But that's all.
At the moment, the large scale, the city does not have enough funds at any given time to remove all the blight of the vacant buildings. Done. We do have now 2 sources of funds, one of which is from MSD, and the purpose of that funding is to remove the buildings and create a permeable surface, and to be particularly environmentally aware. A lot of our education is coming from that and best practices around the country. Frank is involved in that, and Frank now has more money to tear down buildings in general that are a hazard around the city, and he's now rewriting his specs from some best practices as a result of all this being explored. Mr. Chairman, I have one other thing. There's a street and sidewalk right-of-way vacation. We are quite careful about these that are in the full city right-of-way and stopping the transportation circulation. This is one that doesn't rise to that point. There's a picture of it. It's in a block with a through alley in 2 directions, and there's a request to vacate one portion of it. I will tell you, this is just pending, because not all the paperwork is in from the required neighbors that need to agree to it. But you'll see this format more often also. Very good.
So, since Don opened the door for this conversation, I have a quick question. So,
Yes.
the city is studying how to more appropriately allocate tax abatement
They are.
across the city
That's,
with a map. Kind of like the land use map, right?
kind of.
Are you involved in those discussions?
Today, we're looking at the alley vacation and Hyde Park.
I was just wondering, and since I had you and the neighborhood development chair, who I know is very
I'm sure you all can have that wonderful conversation off record.
To be truthful, I will say they sometimes find my door.
I hope so.
And one key map, I got cantankerous and said, "Thou shalt come." Now, they've come once. Have they come back with the revisions? That's the second matter.
Well, I'm anxiously waiting, just to let you know.
So with that, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. With that, our next meeting tentatively will be scheduled October the 3rd, first Wednesday of the month at 5:30. Unless we hear differently from the office, I will entertain any other business needing to be discussed. Hearing none, and a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved to second and done.